Thank you for showing up early for this interview here at the World Wide Wicket company. This is for the mid-level assistant associate production agent manager position. I'm really excited to have you interview today. And before we get started, yes, please take a seat. And did you want any water or coffee? No? All right, perfect. That's just fine. Now, before we proceed, do you have any concerns with this interview being recorded for posterity and future hiring decisions? You do need to, let me get this right, you do need to sign here if you have any concerns for being recorded for this interview. Nothing in this interview can be, you need to sign there to consent to being recorded purely for internal and business purposes only. Nothing in this interview can be used externally for promotional purposes without your permission and would require another signature for that to occur. I will also be typing down notes and information as well, but lately in our process of going paperless and for more comprehensive data purposes, we have been recording our interviews. So before going forward, yes, thank you for handing that back. Yeah, okay. And in addition to signing that, we also need you to verbally consent. Yes, verbally consent to having this interview recorded. Do you have any problems with that? All right, perfect. Now, I have your resume right here in front of me, and thank you for emailing that ahead of time. I understand that it was kind of, well, on the job posting board, the resume wouldn't download, so that was it wasn't working. So that's why I asked if you could email an updated copy of your resume, because that one was the file was corrupted or something. It just wouldn't download. So I don't know if that means, sometimes that means that, like, when you go in and you remove it from the job posting after submitting the interest in the job, sometimes it's a user error. Sometimes if you remove it and you don't upload the file correctly, it will give that sort of error message and won't let us download the resume. Sometimes it's been their website's fault, the job posting board's fault. So it could be a lot of different issues. I'm not saying it's just you, but so anyway, what happened is I couldn't actually view your resume. Why did we schedule we weren't going to not schedule the interview just because we couldn't download a copy of the resume. So that's why I want to email you and get the latest copy, because honestly, a lot of people will use just a standard resume and never tailor it for the job. You should always try to tailor your resume to the job you're interviewing for, but a lot of people just use the standard resume and just try to apply to as many different positions as possible. And when that happens, sometimes things don't get updated. A lot of people don't update their resumes at all, especially if you've been out of work for a while or things happen, which leads me to sort of my your resume actually is kind of weird. Do you have a copy of, did you bring a copy of your resume? No, I don't need, as I mentioned, I have a copy right here. What I wanted to was if you had a copy of the resume, just to verify that sort of as we go through and talk about the here, I actually printed out another copy of the resume. Let me get this. And you had a 2-page resume. That's not the problem. Hold on. There we go. Let me just hand that to you. There we go. Okay. So you have a copy of the resume that you emailed us. This is the copy of the resume you gave us. I'm right. It's the updated resume that you emailed us before this interview. It's not the one that, because as I mentioned, I couldn't download the copy of the resume from the job posting board. Yeah, the website. I couldn't download. So I just want to go through your resume with you and make sure that I'm not getting things wrong. Okay. Now, but before we do that, I just want to make sure you had that resume in your hand as we go through some details a little bit later. But this is an extensive interview process here at the World Wide Wicket company. It normally consists of 2 to 3 interviews here, and the interview process today should not take more than 30 minutes. Do you have any concerns with this interview taking 30 minutes? Yeah. All right. This is an open interview, so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask any and all questions relating to this position, of course. I'm going to start off with a little bit of background information about the company. Here at the World Wide Wicket company, we pride ourselves as being the industry-leading brand of wickets, from manufacturing, distribution, promotion, operations management, and even including research and development. There is no other company that has such a comprehensive process of providing the best wickets, and we are the only company that have full vertical and horizontal business practices to capitalize upon our reputation and brand where it comes to corporate efficacy and the environmental impact of wicket production. As I'm sure you are aware, we are trying to hire and fill this mid-level assistant associate production agent manager position, and we are looking for the best in this position. Yes, I am very well aware that the position title is a little lengthy, but it applies here to all of the elements of the position here at the World Wide Wicket company. Now, we will be going over primarily behavioral and personality questions in this interview. This is due to our diverse and specific nature of our company culture. We truly want to find someone with the compatible business aptitude and mindful approach that can really help endorse and promote the spirit of our corporate structure that we want to have reciprocated and replicated among all of the employees here. We're really looking for the right people for the right job. But that doesn't mean that there's any right or wrong answers, because they're behavioral-based questions. It's not a binary, oh, yes, no. There's room for gray, because that's how, when it comes to real-life situations and things that happen here, what we're looking for is a lot of different moving factors, so that it's not just one correct answer. Now, at the end of this interview, would you mind filling out a survey or leaving a comment after this interview? We are in the process of updating our interview processes and practices, and anything you can think of could be helpful, would be appreciated. Please be respectful through any survey or comments you leave. This is a professional business, so leaving a comment or completing a survey will have no impact on you obtaining the position. Is entirely to help us when doing future interviews for this or other positions here at the World Wide Wicket company. Right, so to find the right person for this job, we're very particular in the individual we're looking for, so let's get started. What interested you about this position? Yes, I know I handed you your resume, and we will go over your resume, but I just let me go through some of the standard questions. What interested you about this position? That's interesting. So it sounds like you've actually dealt with wicket production in the past. That's interesting. You didn't mention any of that on your resume, but again, I'll get to that in just a little bit. So with wicket production, what elements of that really fascinated you? That's definitely not how we do it here. Well, that would be more of the on-the-job training kind of thing. I'm not going to go through the elements of that during the interview, but what you're describing definitely is not how we would make a wicket, partly because that puts in a lot of harmful chemicals into the environment. And as I mentioned, we are very strict on our environmental practices and making sure that we provide the best for going forward. Right. So what was the reason then for leaving your previous job if you were high up in the Wicked game, as we might call it, especially as far as production and promotion, and it seems like your role dealt with a lot of moving pieces as far as, again, wickets. And we've actually never interviewed anyone who's worked with one of our competitors in the past before, so that is fascinating. What was the reason for leaving your previous job? Now, that is interesting. So you can talk about the production of the wickets of what your previous company did, but you can't express any of that because you signed a non-disclosure agreement. Now, look, I'm not going to push. I understand non-disclosure agreements can be very strict and everything, but I'm just going to let you look. We can end this interview right now. Honestly, a non-disclosure agreement, any non-disclosure agreement you had to sign with your previous company probably means that this isn't going to be a good fit, especially since you've already disclosed the practices of how you're making wickets, which we probably shouldn't have. If that wasn't part of that non-disclosure agreement, then I don't honestly, I don't want to know what was in that. If you didn't sign a non-disclosure agreement, you're just saying that because you don't want to tell us why you left, well, that's another concerning factor. We really stress honesty here at the World Wide Wicket Company, and transparency especially of all the moving parts and elements. This position especially involves details and communication between lots of different elements and entities. So with communication as a critical thing, and you signing a non-disclosure agreement that didn't pertain to the making of wickets, which is like what we do. I mean, think about it. That's why when you're asking like how do we make wickets, I can't tell you anything. Right. Well, I can tell you what we don't do, sure. If you want to keep asking things about what we don't do, I guess you could figure it out, maybe. But that's the kind of things that we would ask as a non-compete clause. Your non-disclosure agreement would not pertain to unless there was like a settlement or a lawsuit, and there's some legal issue that occurred when you left. It's concerning. Just as hindsight for future interviews you go to, maybe don't lead with that. No, I'm not saying you should make something up. I'm saying that that's suspicious. This might actually be a good time to look at your resume. Actually, in fact, because on the job posting board, it seemed like you were a stellar candidate. 20 years in a communication element of as an administrator, right? So you did do that for 20 years, correct? Right. And you were doing that while going to school because you graduated only 2 years ago. Right. So you were project administrator there for 20 years, and you graduated 2 years ago. Right. So was it a full-time position? Now you see that doesn't quite add up, because it also says there that while working as a project administrator there, you were working as a substitute teacher. Right. I didn't see any teaching credentials anywhere, but substitute teacher. Mind elaborating on how you were doing that full time while as a project administrator. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not. It seemed odd on the resume. The dates don't line up, and especially with what you're talking about with our competitor in Wicket Manufacturing. When were you working at the Wicket Manufacturing plant? Now that doesn't line, because if you're working there and as a project administrator, the project administrator position has to be part-time, right? Right. So why didn't you list that on your resume? The copy that you gave us, the emailed copy that you gave us for this interview at the Wicket, World Wide Wicket company, you didn't put the Wicket Manufacturing that you did for 15 years that supposedly overlaps with 10 years of the 20 years that you were working as a project administrator, that also overlaps with the 5 years as a substitute teacher while you're going to school. It's all very condensed, and it looks like there's 2 lifetimes events here at the same time, smushed together, compact. I don't right. I understand. Well, no, I don't understand. None of this really on your resume makes any sense. It looks like there's a typo or an error, or that you have lived 2 lives, or you borrowed a resume template and then forgot to put your own information into the template, and you're just trying to fly with the template. I honestly, I was sure that this was a computer glitch, but you're saying it's not a computer glitch. Maybe I don't quite understand what you're saying. You're saying that you have lived 2 lives. I don't get what that means. In a past life, you worked at a Wicket Manufacturing company, but the dates that you gave me overlap. In the past life, when did you work at a... Why am I asking this? Did you or did you not work at a Wicket Manufacturing company? Great. Why did you put it on your resume? Because okay. So, just really clearly, we do not discriminate based on age, gender, sexual orientation, sexual identity, any protected classes. There are 0 discrimination, including marital status. When you say that your name was changed, are you saying that it's because of a legal change due to marriage? Or was it some kind of other reason for the name change? Other. Okay. Can you disclose the reason for your name changing? No. All right. We are getting somewhere very not fast. Let me... it would be great if you could tell me. But you're saying you can't tell me why your name changed. But your name changed, and you were worried we'd look up your information in like a Google search or a background check, and it wouldn't match your resume, and you wouldn't get this interview. Is that correct? That was your concern, right? If that's your concern, then you immediately brought up the fact that you worked at a Wicket Manufacturing company, and that's not on your resume. Okay. You see the flaw here in your plan of hiding information from your resume and then bringing it up in the interview, correct? Okay, we're on the same page. But you've realized your mistake, right? Okay, but you still can't talk about that because of the NDA. Okay, we are getting somewhere. All right. No, this doesn't disqualify you from the position yet. It's sort of like I am a detective trying to piece together a puzzle that without all the pieces. That's kind of where I'm at right now. Let me get this straight. So something happened at the World Wide Wicket company and you can't talk about it, and that's why you've left, and also the reason why your name and identity had to change. Am I on the right topic here? The right track, the right clues to this mystery puzzle? And maybe a signal like warmer, colder. Okay. Interesting. So you really want to work here because it follows what essentially you did in the past life, but you can't say why in that past life you enjoyed working, because that falls under the non-disclosure agreement. And where, okay, now I know from some corporate information and some private information that the Wicket company that you used to work for, that Wicket manufacturing company, is currently in a bunch of legal debates of things that have not come out yet. In fact, they are in the process of like trials and witnesses coming forth explaining things that have happened there. As I mentioned, their environmental practices have always been fishy, but also their financials have been being looked into. Now, you mentioned that you were much more on the manufacturing part of the manufacturing company, correct? Of the actual, like, producing of wickets. I see. Right. Oh. That's... Oh, no. Well, I respect you, and that must have been a very difficult situation to be in, especially as a essentially whistleblower on all of that going on. So yeah, that would be more above and beyond an HR concern. Hence the non-disclosure agreement, and the reason you can't actually mention any of that. Right. And of course, I can't document any of that here. I can only just mention that you have an NDA, and I'm not able to get that information. Oh no. So essentially, you dug into more of their practices because of that. And now you're in a situation where you can't get a job really, because the only thing you don't actually have the project administration. That is all made up, correct? Okay. What about the college? That's also made up. Okay. So everything on this resume that I've got here on the computer, all of that is fake. Great. Perfect. That is what I needed to know. And essentially, since you can't talk about or mention anything that's actually on your resume, because that's all of a different identity, different life, and different span. You're essentially coming into an interview with, on paper, no skills and no experience. When in reality, you have tons of experience in our field, in our network, but you can't mention any of that, do anything in that, or get a job in that field. In fact, being here in this interview is on the verge of violating your non-disclosure, non-compete agreement. I should just let you know that I don't think we can hire you, because you don't the you that we want for this position doesn't exist anymore legally. I mean, your social security numbers changed, your driver's license has changed, everything about what you used to do doesn't line up. If I give the information of they're a nice person to my boss to get you hired here, they're gonna laugh at me. It's not gonna work. If I show them the resume you have and then they ask, why am I hiring you? It's like, oh, because this is all a lie. Well, that's also not. You see where I am in this hiring process, correct? This doesn't bode well for you, but it doesn't bode well for me either. Right. No, I understand. You're in a very difficult situation, and you did the right thing. Yes, and I love that you're trying to get back to normalcy, but normalcy can't happen at this time because you're still working these things out, and people are after you. Wouldn't it be really suspicious for this person with no Wicket experience to go back to Wicket manufacturing, signaling that, hey, this brand new big player in the Wicket field raised all the red flags, and then someone finds you? It's like, hey, this photo matches the same person here, this person who worked in Wicket manufacturing here. I think that they might actually be the same person. The photo searches are really a big deal these days. So if they get your photo and they reverse image search that photo, they could easily find you. Yes, in our orientation process, we do take a photo of you for our company website. We do put it on the company website if it's anything above a entry-level position. Well, you could, but that's... I mean, if you do want to apply for the entry-level assistant, associate, production agent, manager position, I could get you that position, honestly. We've had almost no competition for that position. It's kind of a fill-in position. We currently have it sort of a placeholder, because right now we're really working on hiring the mid-level assistant, associate, production agent, manager position so that they can do more. We could hire you as an entry-level assistant, production agent, manager position much easier, yes. The pay is... it is entry-level, so it is just slightly above minimum wage. The benefits are just above minimum wage kind of benefits. It is the bronze medical, dental, vision plans. Yes. But if that's what you're looking for is just getting back into this kind of corporation, yes, I can definitely continue this interview as and in that case, honestly, you kind of already answered a lot of our questions, and it's for entry level. Yeah, I could actually get this accelerated and sent up to my boss and hired. You'd probably hear back from us by the end of this week, and if all goes well, you would actually be starting next week for that entry level assistant production agent manager position. Right, because it sounds like you already kind of know our industry and our field, and if you actually are in that entry level position, we actually might move you to a different department that you might actually work better in. But it would all be on the down low. I wouldn't submit your resume on file because all of that's a lie. I would probably probably do what the job board did, say that the file's corrupted. Right. This interview also would be sort of backlogged and hidden away for various reasons. One of which is you possibly skirting the edges of your NDA of revealing detailed information about that. Doesn't look good for you, doesn't look good for me. Right. Yeah, that's something I can do. I can move things around and hide information. Not hide. Hide's the wrong term. That's not accurate. That's not professional. No. Work around the legal jiu-jitsu of a lawsuit in the making and the lawsuit that you are currently going through. Not that you're the one being sued, but that you're actually in a joint lawsuit against your previous employer. Yeah, I can skirt around all of that, and we can hire you for that entry level position because it's entry level. It's sort of where we have our. It's almost like the intern position, but we don't have hired interns anymore. Right. No, we stopped doing internship programs except for college students. College students can still go through an internship program. Right. Because it's part-time. Why is our internship part? That's a whole nother thing. No, yes, I could get this accelerated, and yeah, it would probably involve a second interview later this week. Do you have any concerns with that? It's mostly go for deal breakers. Make sure that some of the bad habits and practices that of the company you're coming away from will not be replicated here. I understand that. That's why I'm pretty sure if all goes well, you'll be hired next week for the entry-level assistant associate production agent manager position. Right. Yes. Sorry, what? Why am I still typing stuff down on the record that I'm probably not going to show anyone? It's formality, practices, and it's my job. Well, I take my job here very seriously. Yes. No, it's important to follow all the rules. That's why we create all these rules, is so that we can follow them. Right. No, I would not want you to disclose information like you did in your non-disclosure agreement, but under the circumstances that your identity's entirely been changed and you're frustrated by that, I can understand what occurred. Understanding that and tolerating it versus allowing it are two different things. So, yes, if your previous employer found out about this interview going the way it did, it could involve them in suing you. If they actually get a hold of this video, they could actually sue us. Yes. That's true. But also not hiring you for this interview could open up you to suing us. Well, because it would be discrimination off of non-work behavior. Right. I am covering up a lawsuit by opening up a new lawsuit. Yes, yeah, that's a good way of saying that. Yeah. Well, my only concern is if you get hired here and someone finds you, because you're supposed to, I believe. Now, I don't know about the information provided to you by the government agency that is currently trying to hide you and keep you safe, keep you out of the public eye, but they're supposed to have provided you with a job, correct? Right, they didn't. Okay. But maybe stipend, money, a home, because essentially you have to be able to live undercover and not blow your cover, correct? I don't know. That's what I'm asking you. So are you interested in the entry-level assistant associate production agent manager position? The entry-level assistant associate production agent manager position. No, we don't have an entry-level production agent manager position. Sorry, look, correction. We do have that. It's not available. It's currently filled. Yes, but the entry-level assistant associate production agent manager position we haven't actually started hiring for because we're trying to fill in the mid-level assistant production agent manager position first. Right. Okay. Then I will get this sent to my bosses. You will be called in for another interview later this week. So thank you so much for interviewing with us today. You should hear back from us in a couple of days. You will have another interview with me, just with me. We'll go over deal breakers and stuff. You'll receive an email from me with more information. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to send me an email. I know that feeling as soon as the interview is over and you get home and you think, oh no, I should have asked some more questions. You certainly can, but I get the feeling that you're not going to ask a lot of questions since you kind of already know the answers. Right. Yeah, well, if you have any questions, please let me know. Please leave a comment and fill out that survey with the front desk, and I'll talk to you later. Yeah, check your inbox and have your phone ready. You'll get an email or phone call in a couple of days. Probably an email. Why? I really need the paper trail on this one. Yeah. All right. Thank you again, and have a great week.